Hey everyone, welcome to today's lesson about solving systems by graphing. Before we get into the meat of the lesson, there's a couple background pieces we need to talk about. The first thing is, what exactly is a system of equations? Well, a system of equations is two equations with two variables. We're going to need to use both equations to find the solution for x and y. Now, on to the graphing piece. We're going to graph both of these lines to find their intersection, and that intersection will lead us to the solution to this system. So, the process goes, we graph both lines, we look for that intersection, and that intersection is the solution to the system. The solution is always written as an ordered pair. So, let's get started. First things first, we need to graph both lines in the first example. So, for the first line, I'll start down at -1, and then I'll move my slope down 2 to the right 1. Down 2 to the right 1, once again for safe measure. Then I'll go ahead and connect that with a nice solid line. Alright, now we move on to the second line. I'm going to start at 5, and I'm going to move my slope up 1 over 1. Up 1 over 1. I could keep going with this, and it's going to be very easy to see that the lines intersect at this point right here. So let's put our nice line through here, and then let's highlight that intersection with a red dot. It looks like the points intersect at -2, 1, 2, 3. There we have it, -2, 3. Now, to be sure that that is in fact our solution, let's go ahead and plug this into both equations and make sure it works. So I plug in 3 for y and -2 for x. We'll see what I get. 3 equals 4 minus 1, so 3 equals 3. It works for the top equation. Now let's check the bottom one. If I plug in 3 equals -2 plus 5, and 3 equals 3. There you have it. It works for the bottom equation. So, -2, 3 is our final answer. Again, that was the intersection of my two lines. Alright, on to the second one. You'll notice that these lines are now in standard form. So I'm going to want to use my intercepts to graph. Alright, so I'll plug in 0 for x, and my y-intercept will be 3. And if I plug in 0 for y, my x-intercept will be 6. So let's go ahead and graph that line. I'll go up to 3 on the y-axis, and I'll go over to 6 on the x-axis, and I'll put a nice line through there. There we have it. And then on to the bottom equation. If I plug in 0 for x, the y-intercept is now 3. And if I plug in 0 for y, the x-intercept is -9. So I'll go over to 3 and -9, and I'll put my line through there. It looks pretty clearly like these lines intersect at the point 0, 3. But to be sure, I need to plug the point 0, 3 into both equations and make sure it works. So if I plug in 0, 3 to the top equation, x goes away, and I'm left with 4 times 3 equals 12. So 12 equals 12. It works. On to the bottom. If I plug in 0 for x, I'm left with just 3 times 3 equals 9. 9 equals 9. It works. Wonderful. So my solution to this system is 0, 3. All right. Now it's time for you to try. Try both OYO questions and then check your answer. All right, for the first problem, we need to start up here and plot a point at 8, and then move my slope down 1 to the right, down 1 to the right, and then I'll go ahead and put my nice line in here. Now, you can see it's very important to be precise when drawing your lines in here because we're trying to see where these lines intersect. If you're sloppy, it's going to be very difficult to do so. Down here, I'm going to start at -1, and then I'm moving my slope up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, and it looks like that's where we're going to intersect. So I'm going to go ahead and put my line through there and highlight that intersection with a red dot. It looks like my lines intersect at the point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2. How about that?
That was easy.
Just to be sure, I can plug it in and make sure my answer is correct. 2 for y, and then -6 plus 8, so 2 equals 2. Boom, it works. How about plugging in 2 for y, and then 1/2 times 6 minus 1, so 2 equals 3 minus 1, and 2 equals 2. It checks out. So my final answer is 6, 2. All right, on to the last question. I've got one equation in standard form and one equation in slope-intercept form, so you had an opportunity to try both. Let's look up here to the standard form one first. Remember, I'm going to find those intercepts. So if I plug in 0 for x, my y-intercept is going to be -1. And if I plug in 0 for y, my x-intercept will be 1. So let me go ahead and plot those points at 1 and -1. Then I've got to put a line through there. Again, being as precise as possible. And then again, I will start up at 7 on the y-axis because that's my y-intercept. And then I'll move my slope 3, up 3, 1, 2, 3 over 1. And it could also be helpful to go down 3, 1, 2, 3, and to the left 1 to see, just to get as many points on there to see where those lines intersect. All right. Looks like we've got it right down at the bottom there, an intersection point. How about -4 and -6 as our final answer? All right, there you have it, folks. That is solving systems of equations by graphing. If you have questions, make sure you come to class ready to ask them. That's all for now.